Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. Today I just wanted to talk about the recent controversy surrounding Wiley's tweets, which perfectly lays the foundation into the topic of today's video regarding blacks' hatred of the Jews. Now, if you haven't already heard, Wiley's gone on a bit of a Kanye West. He's had a Twitter meltdown over the last 24 hours where he's been tweeting incessantly about Jews, comparing them to the KKK, saying Israel's not your land, and all kinds of anti-Semitism, which has caused a massive outrage, a massive stir. It's been reported to the police who are investigating from the last time I checked. And since then, Wiley has also been banned from Twitter for about 7 days. So he's in 7 days purgatory on Twitter, from what I last read. Also, as you can imagine as well, because his management company have parted ways, they've distanced themselves from his tweets and said, rightly so, it's unacceptable and we want no parts of it. Now, a lot of people were thinking, why the sudden outburst from Wiley, and is there something sinister going on? Because, you know, a lot of people, they always look into things in terms of a conspiracy theory and wondering what's going on, what's caused this sudden outburst over the last 24 hours where it's been constant tweets regarding Jews. However, for me personally, and for those who, especially in the black community, who are in the know and understand this sort of stuff, this is nothing new. This is just further confirmation that there's a large section of not even the conscious black community, but just the black community as a whole, who hold these views regarding Jews, because it's something that I've personally heard very often, and I'm very familiar with the talking points. Therefore, what I'm going to do in this video is I'm just going to help you people out a little bit. I'm just going to provide a bit of an overview as to what is the thought process regarding this, what is the history, what is the reasons for these tweets and these talking points that a lot of people from the black community have regarding Jews. So, before I get into that, just want to take a couple of steps back here just to lay the foundation again. Because if you remember not too long ago, because, you know, the way how everything's been going on of late, breaking news keep coming out every single 5 seconds, we keep forgetting. But not too long ago, Nick Cannon was fired from his position following a podcast that he did with Professor Griff. And he made a few comments, but there was particular comments which I just wanted to show you now, which further illustrates, again, the position that a lot of black people have regarding Jews.
Why, and this is just a question that I have, and even coming from the aspect of if the true children of Israel, if we're speaking of the Jewish community, if we're speaking of the Abrahamic faiths that Islam comes from, that Judaism comes from, that Christianity comes from, all comes from Abraham, and we are all speaking of brotherhood and unity, why is this division? Why is it such a problem? Why is there so much fear, specifically in the black community, in the Jewish community? And I'm kind of, this is a leading question which I want to get to, but why is it such a problem to speak the truth?
I think it's a problem it became a problem for us because of the propaganda machine, but it's more of a problem for them,
right?
Because they've taken our birthright.
Right. They don't want us to be them.
Not deeper than that. They don't want us to be us.
Now, again, this is nothing new to people like me. I've heard this for a long time. It's been a talking point that has been going on for a long time. And I also wanted to show you another clip. This is an older clip from Louis Farrakhan, who again espouses a lot of the same rhetoric and talking points.
No, you're not a native Palestinian. No, you're not. You didn't originate there. But if you did, you're the real Semitic people. But the Ashkenazi European, he has no connection at all to the Holy Land. None. So in a showdown, prove to us that you are Semitic.
So the question is, why is there so much contempt? Why is there so much anti-Semitism regarding Jews from blacks? Because again, black people always say that they've been discriminated against, persecuted. So you would think black people of all people would be less racist, they'll be more understanding, and they won't espouse such viewpoints like this. So you would think. But there's two major reasons I want to get into today. And the first one is birthright. Now there's a massive school of thought here, and this traces back to the early 20th century, for what I understand, back into the Elijah Muhammad era. Again, Louis Farrakhan was on the scene back in those days in his pomp. And a lot of the teachings that's espoused was, during that time, is that black people who were sold into slavery via the transatlantic slave trade are in fact the original children of Israel. Now, the reason why they teach this is due to text from the Bible. And if you see the screen right now, I'm going to put all the screenshots of the text, which states that because a group of people who do not follow the laws and commandments from God, they will be exiled into lands that's not their own. They'll be sold into bondage by their enemies. And the method of how they'll be sold into bondage by their enemies is by ships. So what has happened? And even towards the latter end of the 20th century, when a new sect called the Hebrew Israelites come into force, who also preach this, they believe that this is key, I suppose, evidence or confirmation that the true Jews, or the true children of Israel, as they say, are in fact black people and not the current people who are commonly called as Jews. Which leads me on to the second point, which is another scripture which you can also see on the screen, which also says the Jews who we call today Jews are in fact not Jews, but from the synagogue of Satan. So, with all these teachings that a lot of black people, again, a lot of it comes from quote unquote the conscious community, but as you can see, it's spilled over into a large section of the black community. These type of teaching breeds an internal hatred, a resentment, a contempt, and a jealousy for the people who are called Jews. And when it gets compounded by the fact that when we look into the transatlantic slave trade, when we look at who financed it, when we look at who owned a lot of the slave plantations, the history, it connects Jews in a way which black people have completely internalized. Because if you look at this again, the transatlantic slave trade was a business. Jews at that time owned a lot of banks. They were business people. Therefore, putting two and two together, black people have internalized that their enemies who sold them into bondage are the same people who are now calling themselves Jews today. Therefore, this is just compounds the hatred, the resentment, and just the contempt that a lot of black people, now it's not as secret as it used to be, but it has compounded the fact that a lot of black people have an internal hatred towards the Jewish community. And with that point, it leads me to the second one, last and final point, and that is power. Now, this is another common talking point within the black community, and it's not really a secret assumption that it's the Jews who run the world. They're the ones that own the banking system through the Rothschilds, a lot of their families that own the media, whether it be Rupert Murdoch, but also, because that's on a global scale, but I suppose on a more macro level, which would affect the day-to-day running of your life and black people's lives, is the music industry. Now, this is an industry whereby a lot of black people are heavily represented in, whether it be rap music, R&B, grime, drill, etc., etc. Black people seem to love to go into this industry. And a common talking point is a lot of the labels, the producers, a lot of them, again, they're Jewish. Therefore, black people see Jews as a parasite and leech that takes all the talent from black people, services it, markets it, and gets all the profit while black people themselves are left with the scraps from the table. This is a common talking point within the black community regarding Jews, regarding the power that they have, how they wield their power, how they are constantly, almost, sorry for the pun, putting the foot on the neck of black people in terms of industries which black people say that they dominate, they're talented in. And again, this just causes a perfect storm into why black people have a massive, massive hatred for the Jews. And again, this is not the first time this has been espoused. Artists in the past have said this in songs, tweets, lyrics. This is nothing new for me. And this is nothing new for, I believe, a lot of people. However, if we just go back into the history, if we go back into the understanding of what is the relationship between black people and Jews, and why there seems to be hatred right now, these are the common talking points that you have. So much so that when a lot of the pushback that happens from black people when people call them anti-Semitic is they can't be. One of the things you have to understand is because black people believe that they are the so-called Jews, they are the original children of Israel, they believe that they are actually Semitic, or should I say Shemitic in nature. Therefore, they always reject the notion that they can be anti-Semitic. So it's very important for you to understand that because of that fact, they always reject it because in their minds, it's an oxymoron. How can they hate themselves? So whenever you hear this rhetoric, whenever you hear this talk, you have to understand where they're coming from. From their point of view, the people who are in the land of Israel aren't the people who should be there. That's who they should be. From their understanding, they're the ones who should be in that land, not them. Therefore, they're saying they cannot hate themselves because they are Shemitic. So this is not the first time this has been espoused, and this for damn sure will not be the last time that this will ever get addressed. So it's a massive issue that needs addressing in the black community, a massive issue. And it's something which it rears its head from time to time, but it's kept quite underground enough. But personally, it's something that we need to talk about because at the end of the day, right is right and wrong is wrong. I don't care what your belief systems regarding who the children of Israel are, what who their birthright is, proving it, etc., etc. Black people don't want to be discriminated against because of their color of their skin. I'm pretty sure other people don't want to be discriminated against because of their belief systems that they espouse. So it's something that definitely is addressing. I do not condone the tweets that Wiley has done. I do not condone a lot of this anti-Semitism. So I just wanted to put that out there just in case people think I'm condoning the theories and what's going on. I do not. But this is definitely something which needs to be talked about, which I thought I'd help you out with, if you didn't already know. So let me know what you think in the comments. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thanks for listening.